question. For someone like me who's just starting out, aside from teas, infusions, and decoctions, what would be the best type of plant medicine to practice making? Teas and water-based preparations are absolutely a mainstay, but if you're not making tinctures yet and you tolerate alcohol, they certainly do come in handy. You can make them in quantity and they last a really long time. They're often quite effective and they're pretty easy to make. So that's a pretty empowering thing to do. There's also, glycerites and acetums. Acetums are vinegar extracts. Oxymels, which are vinegar honey extracts that you can check out. All those things, they're not... People often present them as being like, oh, I don't like alcohol or can't use alcohol for whatever reason. And so instead of making tinctures, I could make a glycerin tincture or a vinegar tincture or an oxymel or something, and then imply maybe that it's just the same thing. Just because it comes in a dropper bottle and you take it in squirts, that it's the same as a tincture. It's just not have alcohol in it. And that's really not the case. There's often some overlap, but they might not be totally interchangeable. And certain things might not be very well extracted in other solvents. But a big reason to make stuff is just to make a bunch of stuff, because making stuff is fun. Making different things is fun, right? That's part of the fun of being an herbalist. So, get a book on herbal preparations and think about all the different ways you can make stuff and try it out. And when you're trying out new forms of things and you're not quite sure how it's going to turn out and how you're going to like using it, make small batches of stuff to start with. And then see what you think about it before you commit to making a large batch. You don't want to make a half gallon of, an herbal vinegar if you're like, ooh, I really don't like herbal vinegars. Because then you're like, what do I do with it? You have to look for people to pawn off your herbal vinegar on. You'll probably find someone. But, generally experiment in small batches. And when you're like, ooh, I really like this, then increase the quantity of stuff that you make that way. Also, think about things like steams and eye washes or nasal rinses. Think about soaks and onion poultices and herbal baths. Again, so much different ways to make stuff. It's fun.